Welcome to the Shulamite Podcast, an extension of Shulamite Ministries and Shulamite.com, with weekly interviews and teaching with author and speaker Martha Kilpatrick and hosted by John Enslow. This weekly podcast is a way to stay connected to the ministry. So come experience anointed messages, not giving just another method, but a living impartation.
So the other day I was walking, and after we had done the interview with John about listening and waiting, and I had a thought about an aspect that is true and prevalent and a reality of it. And this is one of those lessons I've learned bumping my head because, I would come away and I'd almost have a sense of rejection. If God didn't speak when I went to meet with him, it felt like he wasn't available. And it just, kind of, I don't know, it made me feel rejected. Does that make sense? So I basically learned that listening is an investment, that I can't go expecting immediacy of an answer. I'm not going with a demand that he answer me now. Sometimes there's points that I get where I have to have an answer. I'm like, okay, this is something I have to do now and I have to hear now, and I do. But when I'm basically seeking him, when I'm looking to him, when I'm looking to increase my knowledge and love of him, that's something that you're going and you're investing. And what I've experienced and what I've learned is that that's like paying it forward, that you're banking it forward on a spiritual investment. And that will pay dividends. I mean, it will pay.
I'm thinking of Daniel, how he waited 2 weeks in a crisis, and it seemed like probably God wasn't listening, but all the time there was a war going on in behalf of his request.
Yeah, he had no idea the behind the scenes, right, so to speak. Yeah.
What his prayer began was a war in the heavens.
Oh, that's amazing. So what I've come to learn is that even if I don't hear his voice immediately, that he will eventually speak. And it's an investment in my time. It's an invest with him. I'm basically investing my time. I'm showing him, I prefer you in this. I want you in this. I know you're the source. I know you have the answers. I'm investing. It's really an investment. It's investing into the life with him, the life for him. And
John, when I wrote Adoration, I talked about time, and I said that tell me what you do with your time and I'll tell you what's first in your life. To invest time in God is, the payoff is so amazing. Time is our crisis, right, in these days of life. Right. And time is what we don't ever have enough of, so we think. So to give him a block of time for nothing, for no reason except to be there, we'll get an enormous blessing from him.
It does. It seems like it's fruitless at the time. It feels like, okay, well, I wasted 2 hours just sitting here, and I heard nothing. I haven't read anything. I don't know anything more. But what will come is the answer later.
Really, John, as I'm brooding on this morning, I see that the number one relationship in our life is God. And it will not be a number one relationship unless we invest in waiting and listening to him. It's all about that relationship. That's your great lesson.
Yeah, all about
it's all about relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
So waiting is the method of the relationship. It's for me, the central method of living in relationship. When I read that book by Murray that I spoke about a few weeks ago.
The Waiting on God book?
Yeah. I was astounded at the scripture about it. I had never put it all together, but I realized that I live waiting. And it's to hear God's voice has to be the first priority. Well, it's Jesus said, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. In other words, life comes from his voice, and it's worth investing, as you say, in time with him to get that voice, because it's life. Mm-hmm. It's nourishment. It's increase.
And it may not be seen in the moment.
Right. And it's the test.
It is a
Waiting
test.
is the test.
I'm going listening to hear. It is his to speak, and he will speak. He's going to speak. But it may not be in the moment.
That's good to know, because I believe that waiting is actually surrender of your will to his will.
And it's faith.
Yeah, that's right.
So you are investing, you're expecting a return on your investment. And if you're doing that in faith, and faith is the only thing that pleases him. So you're bringing God pleasure when you go and you wait, because you are preferring him and you are investing in him.
Wow. And it's the practice, be still and know that I'm God. It's the practice of quiet. Because you have no agenda, no expectation, no imagination, no soulish, interference.
But it will try every bit of your soulishness.
Yeah, it will.
It will literally try you. Because, you will have the buzz of the fly or the creak of the door that bother you. Yeah. You will have, you have to choose to settle, and you have to choose to stop. And that has taken me a long time to develop. It's not something that you just go and you're immediately there. It took years for me to learn how to go and listen and
be still.
And be still.
Because you can do that now.
Now I can. I couldn't before.
Yeah.
Not easily.
So it's no logic. And the surrender to me is the word underneath waiting. And I think sometimes we have to be more surrendered so that we can hear the thing that God is saying that's so profound. So sometimes it's needed to wait and surrender so that you can actually come to the place of being able to comprehend what he's saying. It's never fruitless. That's what you're really saying. It's never fruitless. I've waited months for some answers, and not unusual to wait a year for a word about something that I want to solve or help. So you're making me see it too as absolutely necessary to go through this.
It's vital.
It is.
It's
really life or death if you get right down to it.
Absolutely.
If you can't hear God, the whole problem with Israel was one thing. They didn't hear God. And if you don't hear him, you can't obey him. If you don't hear him, you won't know him. And they would not listen. And many times he said, you do not listen, then you do not obey. So you have to listen before you can obey. And as you say, you listen in the morning, you go to walk, and the answer comes down the road.
We hope you've enjoyed the Shulamite podcast. For all the latest from Shulamite Ministries, please visit us at Shulamite.com, where you'll find Martha's daily devotions, posts from GetAlongWithGod.com, and the online library of all of Martha's writings. At Shulamite.com, downloading the free Shulamite app is easy, and LivingChristianBooks.com is only a click away. Thank you for joining us on this journey to discover a God worth knowing.